Celebrity deaths come in threes. 2016 changed that. All year long, stars fell in clusters rather than elegant trios. And we're not talking C-listers here. We're talking heavyweights like George Michael, Alan Rickman, Gary Shandling, Muhammad Ali, Gene Wilder, Carrie Fisher, and David Bowie. The death that hit me hardest that year was Prince, the musical genius from Minneapolis. I became aware of Prince through MTV. In 1983, the channel abandoned its narrow casting formula to admit black artists. They had to, since black artists were dominating the charts. Prince, of course, was one of the first admitted to the once exclusively white club. 1999 and Little Red Corvette were hits, and Prince's bizarre new wave aesthetic was tailor-made for a channel built on sight and sound. But as strong as those early singles were, I didn't fully convert to the Church of Prince until I heard Purple Rain. To me, that song was a raw nerve laid to vinyl. It had a deep sincerity I rarely heard. It might have ended there if the album of the same name hadn't been so good. That record blended the rock sounds I knew with the R&B, funk, and gospel I didn't. It was a lot for a white suburban teenager from Ohio. After Purple Rain, I bought the 5 Prince albums I didn't own. Then I waited patiently for whatever was next. I waited and bought nearly everything between 1985 and the aforementioned year of death. That waiting and buying became progressively less fun after 1988. But no artist, before or since, has engendered such loyalty, and I can't say exactly why. There's an it factor with Prince, a bundled idiosyncrasy and raw charisma lacking in most artists. On his great late-night show, David Letterman had a segment called Brushes with Greatness, where audience members described their celebrity encounters. I had 2 Prince-related brushes. I'll share the lame one first. In late 2000, I went with my brother to the Virgin Megastore on Sunset Boulevard. If you don't know what the Virgin Megastore was, it was a lot like Tower Records. If you don't know what Tower Records was, I can't help you. Anyway, both stores are gone now. On our way out, we passed a dramatically beautiful woman. I was struck by her looks and had a flash of recognition. There in the courtyard in front of Virgin was Carmen Electra, a former Prince protege. The encounter didn't end well. I was so taken with Carmen, I walked into a lamppost and the lamppost bonged. Carmen laughed, my brother laughed, everyone in the courtyard laughed. A good time was had by all, except by me, because humiliation. I met Prince himself in 1993. He was autographing copies of his latest album at Turtles Rhythm and Views in Atlanta. If you don't know what Turtles was, it was like the Virgin Megastore, which was like Tower Records. If I have one takeaway from my brief interaction with Prince, it would be that he was unusually shy. I complimented a song he played in concert the night before and had to lean in to hear his quiet response. He didn't brighten until someone in the line behind me presented their baby. Prince seemed to like kids, maybe because, like him, they didn't dig big crowds. Of course, Prince's shyness was never evident on stage. I saw him 4 times and he was always in total command. No doubt that confidence is part of what drew me in. Like Prince, and like babies, I don't dig large crowds. Though Prince never fell off as a live act, his studio output dropped in quality starting in '88. There were still flashes of the old magic, but the fire was going out. Turtles, Virgin, and Tower are all gone now, and so is Prince. 3 major music retailers and one of the guys who helped them keep the lights on. The death of the record store preceded Prince's passing by a few years, but I think of the 2 events as intertwined. With the collapse of those communal spaces, nearly everyone retreated online and into themselves. Again, Prince was ahead of the curve. He retreated into himself before it became fashionable. In the mid-'80s, he built Paisley Park Studios and hid from a world that frightened him. In the process, he sanded off his music's rough edges and began to sound like a third-generation copy of himself. Still, even in the final act of his career, there's a consistent thread of positivity. Prince was always throwing a party and everyone was always invited. Maybe that's the it factor, that inclusivity and unabashed fun. None of this is to say that Prince was frivolous. He had his dark turns, but he was mostly about joy. I guess that's what kept me hanging in all of those years. I came for the genius and stayed for the fun. I think most of us could use a trip to Tower Records right now, not to mention an infusion of positivity.